Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Traveled to Hashirama's Time. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button to become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Naruto was still trying to figure out what he was going to do against Madara. As Naruto went to visit Sarutobi, going there, Naruto sat down with the man. The man then started to speak about the past, as he called Naruto Sama. As Naruto wondered how much he knew, so Naruto decided to not say anything as the man told him about his life when he was younger, when Tobirama first came there, and when he also met Naruto Uzumaki back then. As he kept a keen eye on Naruto while he spoke, as he believed that Naruto was the first. As his suspicions, as he heard about the past, Naruto heard everything as he heard why Madara just ended up and left. As it was because of him, because of what Hashirama did, just sending him back to the past, without talking to any of them. Madara felt left out, as he had no say in the matter as well, as Hashirama only consulted with Mito as well, no one else. After that, Naruto headed off. As something didn't happen, everyone felt a rush over the village, killer intent, as everyone felt it. The thing was precise because of the sealing matrix, as Madara tampered with it. He spoke into all of their minds as he told them to bring him. Naruto and Namikaze or everyone will die in a second, as Minato was beside Naruto as he teleported Naruto somewhere, as Naruto was in some sort of a jail, as he was surprised as his mother came there and hugged him. She placed a seal on him as he fell to the ground. As she apologized, they had to keep him here, keep him safe. As they went to a meeting where Madara showed up in a hologram, he had Menma. He had Menma as Minato was watching the whole thing. As he stabbed and beat Menma on the ground, as he told him to hand over Naruto Namikaze or his son will die, and he's going to wage war against them. But Minato wouldn't hand over anyone, as he told Kakashi to go and find if he can find a location on Menma. They had a week, so Minato get everything together. This was the first war he was going to do. He'd never been in a war before. The Uchiha clan was completely gone as Naruto went to investigate the real Naruto, because that one in the cell is just a clone. Yes, a clone with enough chakra to last. As Naruto realized all the Uchihas were gone, to his surprise, they were not taken by force, as it was a sealed matrix door which they could just walk through. Naruto knew if he was going to face off against Madara, he needed to go back to his original strength. He needed to get stronger, as he made his way to Mount Miyaboku for the week. As he spoke to the toad there, as this was a prophecy that he warned him of. Naruto used his pocket dimensions. He was able to go in there and alter time, so he could spend as long as he wanted to train in there and get everything back into shape. As a week passed, Minato gathered all his forces as Jiraiya had found out that the Uchihas left on their own accord, as the sealing door was gone. As Naruto sent out the clone, as he was able to break the binds that Kushina placed on him rather easily, as he keyed into the matrix of the village to make sure that Madara couldn't get into it anymore. On the battlefield, as Minato had all of his soldiers ready, everyone, not everyone of the entire village, the village was rather large, as he had left back a good amount of people, just in case anyone decided to take advantage of the war that was going on. The entire Uchiha clan was there, and Madara was there as well. Mito was surprised when she saw him, as Mito was still alive as she became an old woman, as she saw Madara was still young, as she couldn't believe it. As Madara pulled Menma towards them, as Kushina and Minato were furious, he asked for Naruto Uzumaki, but Minato told him that Naruto Uzumaki is dead, as the first Hokage died a long time ago. But Madara simply chuckled, as he wants Naruto and Namikaze then. It seems they don't know anything at all. but they wouldn't hand over anyone. It was then that he told Menma to cut the act, as Menma flipped to his feet, as he was now completely unharmed. Minato and Kushina were confused and surprised. So yeah guys, so it's basically last we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it for yourself. So what is to begin this new episode? Well then, I guess you better give it up, Menma-kun, said Madara. Menma flipped as he landed on his feet, completely unharmed. As he sighed, too bad. You should have just given us Naruto, Dad. I imagine that you locked him up somewhere. Kushina was shocked. She didn't know what to say, as she looked at her eldest son. Behind them, the Konoha forces rippled with uneasy. If what they were seeing was correct, Menma was a traitor. Would Madara take advantage of the opening and attack their Hokage, who must be troubled by all of this revelation? As Madara gazed lingered on the silver-haired Jonin that Naruto always spoke so fondly of, he seemed to be taking charge, keeping the force in line. He wasn't a fool. He knew that negotiations at the beginning were important, not that they were changing anything. Still, the Jonin, he was a rather interesting one. He also seemed to understand that anyone foolish enough to charge in was a dead man. If he was the one to charge in, how long would he last? Perhaps, out of respect for Naruto, Madara would spare the man as he looked towards Kakashi. Make him a war prisoner, perhaps. Menma, what is the meaning of this? Said Minato. As Minato was furious, you could see the man holding himself back. As he took note of the Uchihas, their calm, the way they were ordered. They must have been planning this for years now, as he knew that rashness and rushing into things head-on would get him nowhere. I believe this is a form of emancipation, said Menma. It was a ruse, meant to play on your favoritism. But I guess I underestimate your attachment, Naruto. My bad. As Menma's words cut deeply, as he was trying to say that they didn't love Naruto and they neglected him. So he thought it would be rather easy for them to just throw him aside and give him to the enemy. They wouldn't even care. How can you stand there with him when he wants to kill your brother, Kushina hissed. As she took a step forward, Menma sighed and looked towards Itachi, who did not return his gaze. As far as he was concerned, this was Menma's problem to deal with. Madara-sama was being dramatic. He doesn't want to kill Naruto. There's just something he needs to do, and only Naruto can do it. What would be more accurate to say is that Naruto cannot do it, unless he's dead. Menma said that shrug. Kushina stepped forward and slapped him across the face. As she raised her other hand, but Minato grabbed her wrist, pulling her back. As Menma clenched his fist, as a bright red mark was left on his cheek. Minato wasn't sure when Menma had gotten so cold. He was even confused to how he, the Hokage and the boy father, did not notice. And you support this, said Minato. His tone was straining. He was trying his best to keep this negotiation on track. He knew his sons didn't exactly get along, but this was extreme. To side with a man that was trying to kill your brother? Kushina pulled her hand free from Minato, as she kept staring at the both of them. I do. Kakashi Hatake was correct when he pushed her to see Naruto as nothing more than a failure. Is potentially staggering. Did you know that he's a powerful sensor? Better than anyone in the village actually. I say he could sense us right now. His mastery over the Rasengan in that small training period was quite impressive. Menma paused, a soft smile on his face as he thought of his younger brother. Kushina, however, was shocked. She never heard Menma praise Naruto before. Yet, you two chose to leave him in the village. I'm sure that it wasn't a decision that you came to on your own. Was it, mother? Uzumaki Mito have far too much say of what goes on in our family. A family she should have nothing to do with, considering that we're not Uzumaki's. His tone was cold, resentful as he directed his gaze, sharpened gaze towards his mother. Kushina flinched, not expecting such coldness from her son, as his eyes showed that he was not messing around. He wasn't doing this as some sort of self-sacrificing notion to get behind the enemy lines. Her son, her darling child, her boy, was her enemy. Every inch of his being, from his chakra, his posture, told her that he was rejecting them, wholly and deeply. Why? What did Madara have over him? Why was he doing this? Minato remained silent as he tried to gather as much information as he could. Something to help them win this war, anything. So, if you're not going to hand over Naruto, then we have nothing more to discuss, Madara said in mock disappointment. Keeping things short and sweet had a more better effect. I suppose you should get on with this little war thing. I hope you're ready. As he turned to walk towards the Uchihas, Menman Itachi lingered to make sure that no surprise attack went on behind his back. Not that something like that would be successful. With Madara returned to his clan, the Konoha forces were wondering what now. Minato and Kushina squared their shoulders, resigned to the fact that this was it. As they watched as Menma and Itachi started to walk off, That's enough, Madara! I'm right here, said a voice. As Naruto flashed into the clearing, as he was panting a bit, looked like he ran the entire way here. As his eyes were burning, as Madara turned, he looked at Naruto. He could feel the chakra, this boy. He wasn't the first. Had that idiot Hashirama succeeded and returned Naruto back to his own present? Naruto, get out of here, Kushina screamed as she was about to run towards him, but she was stopped by Menma. Get out of my way! As she banged at his chest, but he grabbed her and pulled her away. Get him out of here, Minato said. Someone, anyone. He himself got engaged by Itachi. The genius Uchiha had been smart enough to snag his uniform, preventing him from jumping to Naruto. If he jumped to Naruto, Itachi would come with, as he was holding on to Minato's cloak, as he dragged him away from Kushina so he couldn't interfere there as well. As Haruto jumped forwards, but Kakashi grabbed him and stopped him. Arashi stopped him as well, as Minato could only wonder what they were stopping Haruto for. As Madara moved with intense speed and got in front of Naruto, as he grabbed him by the jacket and lifted him in the air. Well, aren't you a pathetic creature? Are you sure that you're my brother? Madara grinned, enjoying the look on Naruto's face. This wasn't the first, but there were parts of their reek of resemblance to the man. Two shinobis who Kakashi couldn't stop rushed forward, but a lightning bolt smashed into them. Naruto knew that lightning belonged to Sasuke. He was across the field, yet the lightning came over here. Had Kakashi knew somehow that Kakashi would be the one to retaliate and the lightning juice of his would cause problem. Was that the reason why he stopped the rest of them from approaching? Naruto tries his best to ignore Sasuke's cool actions as he grabbed Madara's hand. Well, I'm here. So what do you want from me? Let's see, it's simple really. All I want you to do is open some boxes. Madara waved and Shisui appeared in a flash, as he placed on 4 of the boxes. As Madara's full attention was on Naruto. 4? Where were the other 4? Surely that Madara would have made a move until he got the other boxes. And he couldn't get the last one, without going through Naruto. Then again, 4 tail beasts was more than enough. Was he running out of time or something? And if he was, what was he racing against? As Madara threw Naruto towards the boxes. Open them and I'll let you go. You leave, your family leave. We're all so much happier, he said. What's in the boxes, Naruto said. And what makes you think I can open them? You can open them because you have a very special chakra. But you know that, said Madara. Now, stop wasting my time. It's very valuable, you know. Open them, or I kill you where you sit. As Naruto looked at the boxes, yes, they were the real deal. As Naruto moved to open it, but he stopped. He had to act like opening it would be disastrous. No, I won't do it. Whatever is in there is dangerous. Well, I imagine a few decades in the box would make anyone murderous, said Madara. But I'm starting to lose my patience, boy. Open the box! As his Sharingan activated, as Naruto flinched back. No, said Naruto. I won't do it. You might as well kill me. I'm not gonna open those boxes. Madara looked towards Menma, as he then looked back towards Naruto. Not even if I kill your mother. Menma's face flashed pale for a second, but returned back normal as he stood firm. As Naruto felt Menma's confusion in his chakra, perhaps Madara had promised that he wouldn't kill his parents. Well, Menma was in too deep now to pull out. Naruto almost felt sorry for him, as Naruto played like he was shocked. He let his face go glossy with tears as he shook his head in disbelief. Was Madara serious or merely making threats to manipulate him? Don't open those boxes, Naruto-kun. Forget about me, said Kushina, as she was trying to keep her features light as she looked towards her son. Naruto, whatever he does, you cannot open those boxes. Minato said sadly, telling Naruto if he died, that no one would blame him. As Naruto knew that his reaction were needed, his overheaded knuckleness would have to kick in right now. He wouldn't stand idly by and just watch Madara threaten his parents. As Naruto leaned forward with a Rasengan, Madara simply stepped to the side as the attack landed on the floor. Perhaps if I beat you enough, you will change your mind. As he smashed the fist into Naruto's stomach, as Naruto coughed up blood. You're out of your league, boy. As Naruto was on the ground, as he was trying to think how to act next. But he just needed to act. As he slouched in behind Madara and kicked him right into his back. As he backflipped away and wiped away the blood across his chin, he pulled out a kunai as Madara turned towards him that glare. Naruto blinked and suddenly Madara's fist was buried in his stomach as he threw into the air, but Madara grabbed his ankle and smashed him down. Damn it. Having little chakra to work with turned out to be worse than he thought, but this beating was needed. Konoha would understand that they shouldn't get involved, that he should stay away from Madara. They need to avoid his rage. Still, he couldn't breathe. As he heard his mother's screams, his father struggled to reach him. As Naruto was grabbed and lifted up off the ground. Let go. There was a command in his head. Before Haruto approaches, Madara will kill him. Kill me! Naruto wheezed out as Madara's Sharingan swirled. Kill me, idiot, Naruto said as Haruto had broke away from the line as he was evading Kakashi. As he made his way, as he could avoid Sasuke lightning attack, he'd reach him soon. Madara, please, said Naruto. As Madara grinned, there you are, he said. Snap! The entire place froze. Only Haruto, silent and deadly, was trying to reach Naruto as he refused to acknowledge what he just saw. Kushina screamed out as Madara threw the clone towards Haruto. As Haruto caught the lifeless body, as he stopped, he stared at the battered boy in complete disbelief. Why go through all the trouble, only to kill him in a matter of seconds? Should he have tried to use his chains, his control wasn't what he preferred, so he didn't want to hurt the boy by accident. Menma went still, as Kushina shoved him away and went towards Haruto. She grabbed Naruto's jacket and pulled him close, as she cried. Naruto, Naruto, she said, as Madara looked at the boy's eyes, as they were just lifeless. As he frowned. Had he been wrong? Had he just killed the young boy for no reason? It hadn't been his intention. His Sharingan saw the boy as a clone. So why was the body still there? What was going on? Minato, though, on the other hand, that no one was focused at the moment, exploded as he threw a kunai towards Madara, who stepped back. As Itachi was pulled along when he flashed away with him. But Itachi let go. Madara could deal with that mess. He instead turned towards Shisui and Menma. There were consequences to this path, and they need to start preparing. The plan had never been to kill Naruto. Minato slammed his Rasengan towards Madara in quick speed, but a hand grabbed on to Minato's hand, slamming the Rasengan into the ground as Madara jumped back. Minato turned his eyes with rage, but he froze when he saw the person. Now, Madara. Was killing the boy all that necessary? A familiar voice said. Madara looked towards the person as he saw the orange armor, those whisker marks, and the blonde hair, and the blue eyes. The first. Minato stepped back, assessing the situation, though it was difficult. He wanted to slice the Uchiha, but he needed to know what the hell was going on. Madara gestured towards Minato. So this is the all. Amazing Minato Namikaze. I expected more. The first released Minato's wrists and walked over to Kushina, who was still holding on to the clone. Minato followed, but he had a close eye on Madara. May I? Said the first. What are you going to do with him? Said Kushina. Hopeful that perhaps there was something the first could do to save her son. Why else would you want to take him? Given the respect that he deserved, he was very brave. Did you see? Were you there? Kushina asked, as she wondered why didn't do anything to save her son. I saw in my own way, yet not in the way that you would imagine, Naruto replied. As he picked up the boy and brought him to the Konoha forces. Hokage-sama, it will greatly gratify me if you follow me. Please, bring your wife as well. If you're going there, then should I take it our enemy, said Madara. Naruto paused a moment as he turned to face Madara. One day, he said. Give me 1 day to assess the situation. Your clan stays on their side, Konoha forces stay on their own side. Fine, but you have 6 hours. I want to talk to you alone, at your convenience. As Madara motioned for Menma, Shisui and Itachi follow him as they move back to Uchiha clan. As Naruto gaze moved back to the forces, they had used a week to prepare their forces. The surprise attack would not be very successful. There were jutsu traps, seals, and physical barrier around the Uchiha forces. Minato did not miss at the first, was adjusting the Konoha forces like he was not one of them. In fact, he seemed to be neutral. And how was he here? And what was his objective? He moved to Kushina as he wrapped her arm around her waist to console her, as she quietly cried. Naruto turned away from the Uchiha. 6 hours. Wasn't as much as you want, but it was something. He would have to make the most of it. There will no doubt be questions, and there will be arguments. As he was making his way towards the infirmary tent, as he made his way to the Konoha base and walked to the entrance, Kushina and Haruto broke away from them, moving to what Naruto assumed was a command tent. As they walked, the Konoha force went deadly quiet. They were unsure what to make of this development. It wasn't a situation they have encountered before, and to be fair, Naruto hasn't provided proof that he was the first at all. He could be a spy, infiltrator, an enemy. Yet no one stopped him. Each shinobi moved to the way with a stunned bow. As Minato and Kushina went along with few other shinobis. As he arrived at the tent, as he placed a clone on an empty bed, covering his still form with a sheet, movement from the far side caught his attention as he took note. Hinata? She looked as kind-hearted as she had before, but a bit more outgoing. There was the headband around her neck or anywhere around her person. That is Hinata Hyuga. She's a volunteer for this war against Madara. She's devoted her time to medical ninjutsu, despite not formally going and graduating from the academy. Minato explained, noticed the first interest, as Naruto turned his gaze away from her, as she released a sigh. What do you intend to gain from this war, Namikaze-sama? Naruto asked. There was no way I was handing over my son. What came of this war is what came of it, said Minato. What I intend to gain was utter victory. And I still intend to do that. If you think I can walk away right now, you're dead wrong. I suppose you have your own questions. However, I'd like you to give me a moment, said Naruto. What I can say for now, as a thought has crossed your mind, I am truly the first. No tricks or lies. As for why I'm here, on the day that Hashirama and I was ambushed, I attempted a seal with consequences, as he had to lie for that, as he wanted to see who knew the truth and who did not. Not all my seals should have been used in combat, and this is an example of why. So, I should just take you on your word, said Minato. No, ask Mito. She's here somewhere, I can sense her presence. Minato stared at him for a moment, before turning and walked into the infirmary tent. Strangely, he was the only one to step inside with Naruto. It was perhaps an order from the current Hokage. We should head over to Commander's Center. We need to factor your arrival into our plans, Minato said carefully. As Naruto noticed, Minato did not seem as an asset, not yet anyway, and that was interesting. As they walked away, Naruto noticed a medic named Uzumaki walking in the tent. She had bite scars on one of her arms, long red hair, and also glasses. He didn't know her, but something in her chakra felt so familiar. Had he perhaps met her in his previous life? Perhaps, not formally. He might have sensed her chakra before, he was even aware that he was a sensor. Her scars, they were one of the more Uzumaki interesting traits. Healing the wounded by chakra transfer. But it caused a bite deep enough to break the skin. As Naruto detested that method back then, as he banned it for only extreme methods. So why was she having the signs on her? She appeared to be one of the more greater medics. Her uniform showed that she was in charge. Tarin-sama, said Hinata, as she showed great respect. Naruto turned his attention away as he went to the commander tent. The chakra inside his tent was heavy, powerful, and the most familiar to him, Kushina, was no longer crying, as she was sitting next to Mito, who looked gravely serious. As he could feel Mito's chakra, it was still vibrant. And that was rather strange. A person's chakra should reflect their age. As Naruto concluded, she was far younger than what she wanted those around her to believe. Exactly like Madara. What have those two done? The conversation in the room stopped as everyone turned towards them. Minato went to the head of the commander table. This, supposedly, is the first Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki. He's managed to buy us 6 hours. Haruto stood close to Kushina, almost like a bodyguard. Given the fact that Kushina was the clan head in training, well, that might be true. As he didn't dwell on Haruto for too long, the realization on the man's face, when he found that his father was standing in front of him, that would hit very soon. And Naruto needed a moment more before confronting that issue. Hiruzen gave him a strange look first, before nodding in greeting. It's been a long time, Shode-sama, he said. As Naruto nodded, as he took a moment to focus on Hiruzen's chakra, it was understandably buzzed, taking recent events into action. Next to Hiruzen was Danjo. He was unbandaged and free of the chakra malice that he had in the past. As Danzo appeared to have a close bond with Hiruzen, if their overlapping chakra was anything to go by, retirement must have something to do with it. They must be friends, good friends in fact. Behind the two, what Naruto refers to Sanin, even if they weren't granted that title. Tsunade, happier than Naruto has ever seen her, was standing between Orochimaru and Jiraiya. The chakra gem was still on her forehead, as her chakra spoke of a high affinity for medical ninjutsu. As Naruto looked towards Jiraiya, Jiraiya wasn't wearing the Mount Miyaboku headband, so it seemed like he hasn't signed a contract with the Toads. How strange. Yet everything about him was Jiraiya, so much so that Naruto had to calm himself, as his sensei had died in a previous life and to see him here now. But he didn't know this man this time, and for his persona, Namikaze Naruto, he only knew him as his father's sensei. They never got along. They were just small interactions. And as for Orochimaru, he had an age appearance that matched Jiraiya's. His chakra didn't have the sickly slime feeling to it, and he did not hint at a snake summon. Instead, he seemed to have a hawk summoning contract. His features were a bit guarded, while given the situation, it should be. A man older than his father, yet younger than Tsunade, shifted, as Naruto felt the chakra, as this must be Nowaki Senju, as he felt a connection with Tsunade, as the resemblance were close. Given the feeling from Their chakra Naruto could tell at least were descendants of Noaki, Hashirama's son. A man was sitting next to Noaki, and right beside Kakashi as well. This must be his father, as he was the grandson of Tobirama. Hayashi, Tatsumi, Shibe, Choza, Nara, and also Inuichi was in the tent. But the people seated here, he could tell one thing. You won't win this war. He said simply, what the hell give you the right to show up? Take one look at us and automatically decide that we're going to lose, asked Tatsumi with a growl. Madara is not someone to be taken lightly. He does not need his clan in order to defeat the forces that have been gathering here. It was a smart move to leave the majority of forces inside of Konoha. However, I see all of the leaders are here. As Naruto was calm, unfazed by the anger directed towards him. That means no one is in the village, keeping those forces in line. If this tent was to be targeted right now, what would keep those forces in the village at bay? I imagine the best of Konoha forces are in this camp right now. How can we trust that you are who you say you are? Asks Kakashi. You are, after all, a man who was supposed to be dead. Fair point, Hatake-san, said Naruto. Yamanaka-san is more than welcome to examine my mind. And I'm sure that Mito-san and Hiruzen-san can easily confirm my identity. Mito looked towards him. He's a Shoudei, she said. You will do well not to waste time trying to verify that fact. As the Hokage said, we need to begin the planning. I have a question, but I'll wait until I spoke to Madara to answer it. Naruto said calmly, his gaze on Mito. For now, I will remain impartial. I haven't been here long enough to assess the situation, and before I act, I need a moment to understand everything. Remain impartial, Hiruzen said, confused. Yet, it was Kushina rage and chakra that Naruto felt the most. Is my son dead not enough for you to understand the situation? I don't know what more you need to assess. While I deeply regret your son's death, I cannot allow you to cloud my judgment on the matter. I would be lying if I said it was the first time I watched Madara kill a child. I would also be lying if I said that action alone makes him my enemy. Unfortunately, I am far too skilled of a sensor to believe that Madara mean any harm to Konoha. I am here to make sure that Konoha survives. Madara has not yet presented himself as the enemy of the village. Part of my suggesting it, but with your sensing, not be fooled, said Shikaku. Yes and no. My sensory abilities aim to penetrate down to a person's core. It will take skills and experience to lie all the way down to your core. Madara may have such skills and experience, but the Uchihas and Uzumaki around him did not. Then why not speak to him now, said Shikaku? If you do, with the remaining time allowing to us, with the information you learn, provide your will to share to us, we could formulate better situation planning. I agree with your assessment that Uchiha Madara has not presented himself as the enemy of Konoha. There have been some things troubling me, some things I was not able to explain, and that was a very new sensation for me. An agreeable suggestion, Nara-san. I am also pleased that you noticed Madara's strange and odd behavior. Before I go to Madara though, I would like to ask Mito where my boxes are. Madara only had 4. I'm not foolish enough to believe that he only got 4. Each person turned towards her. I'm afraid I'm not the person to know where they are, she said. Do not play games with me, Mito. As he took a step towards her, as Kushina ready herself, as Haruto finger twitched towards his pouch. But it didn't matter because they wouldn't be fast enough. For one, stop lying about being the clan head. You stepped down years ago. Naruto raised a glowing hand. For another, stop lying about being old. As he sunched Shin right in front of her and touched her forehead, breaking the seal that was in place. As the sealing matrix wore away, to show Mito young and beautiful. Trust you to reveal all my secrets, said Mito in annoyance. As Naruto looked at her with a shock on his face. Edo Tensei? But how? Who? Who did you sacrifice in order to be back alive? Naruto asked. Who? No one important, said Mito. Clearly, she didn't want to talk about it. Who? Said Naruto. Don't you dare belittle a person's sacrifice, Mito. Everyone make a difference, said Naruto. As he looked at her sternly. Nala Uzumaki. She volunteered knowing what it meant, but she also knew I was necessary. Mito said, her eyes fierce as she refused to state Nami. Sacrifice or granted. We tweak the jutsu so that the person is alive in spirit. I talk to her every day, and I take good care of her family. In a way, they're my family too. It was the best that we could do. As she looked down, unable to meet her to gaze. And that's supposed to make it better. You can hear her in your head. Does that make you feel better to take her life? If the jutsu ended and you went away, does she get her life back? How long have you even been here? A living corpse. as Naruto feel the pain that it was causing her, but he could tell that there was a third party involved, and he needed to push it out. Tell me why, he shouted. Tell me that those damn boxes are not the reason you're sitting there, and I'm standing here right now, as he slammed both hands on the table. They are, said Mito quietly. But Naruto, you know how important those boxes are. We need them, she said. She looked up at him. She sprang to her feet, forcing him to take a step backwards, as he was so close. No, we don't, said Naruto. And if that is your opinion, if you're so desperate to get them, so far to use Edo Tensei, maybe standing with Madara is where I should be. You got all these people full into your war with Madara. I won't stand here and let these people die because you and Madara are in some diluted power trip. As Naruto turned and started to walk away. So that's it. You're joining Madara. You made up your mind to the person. I'm going to go find out the truth. Mito can find me and tell me the truth when he's ready, said Naruto. Meanwhile, Madara watched as Naruto walked across the lands. The fact that he was just walking and not just hunching over here. They didn't need time to think, as Madara saw that he was angry. Madara did not approach him, he would wait. He was earlier than he expected. So things might have not gone well. Madara-sama, should we not go to meet him, said Itachi. As Itachi's comments show a tone of concern. A concern that Madara did not understand. He stopped trying to figure out Itachi a long time ago though. No, he's angry. Better to let him walk. He will take 5 to 10 minutes to get here. By the time he arrives, he'll feel better, said Madara. Be a dear and bring some tea along, Itachi-kun, said Madara, as he knew that Itachi would obey what he asked. Even though the way he spoke, he was trying to ruffle his feathers. But Itachi had lost his composure yet, as Menma stepped away from the post and followed behind Itachi. The fact that Menma was pissed at him really didn't escape his notice. The boy had to understand that a young Naruto was just a clone, so he believed that Madara had killed his younger brother. Madara hadn't corrected him because Naruto over there seemed to want the world to think that Naruto was dead, the younger one. Although making Madara play bad guy was uncalled for, it was commendable that Menma was still here though. Seeing that his one request was denied, that he hadn't gone back to his parents, he moved away from the main entrance as he went to a small open tent. He sat down on one of the 3 available cushions, waiting for Naruto to arrive. As Madara watched, she sneaked into the room. As she was holding on to a kunai. Come watch me play, she said. Really, Shi-chan? This old man is too born to hang out with, he said. She shrugged as she lifted the kunai and ready to throw it at him. But Sasuke arrived and catch it, throw kunai instead. Aw, Sasuke. I need to practice, said she. Sasuke grabbed her hand, intent to take her away from the tent. When Naruto arrived, he didn't care for defenses that were in place, as he simply sunched into Madara's side. As he cursed. Edo Tensei? Oi, mind your language. As Naruto turned his head towards Sasuke, was holding on to Shi's hand. Madara chuckled. I really don't get your obsession with the brat. Hey, it wasn't obsession, as Naruto never told Madara about the clan massacre, so the only Uchiha that he mentioned to Madara was Sasuke. Sasuke was confused, but he didn't say anything. Sasuke, Shi-chan, time to leave. The Shodi and I need to talk. Shi and Sasuke bowed, as they left without comment. He then moved to the tea set that Itachi brought earlier. So you know the truth of Mito's existence, I take it. And you? How is your existence different, said Naruto? Well, knowing you, seeing your work in seals, it made me interested in the craft. Let's just leave it there. As Naruto frowned, that meant he stopped time on his body. A dangerous seal to mess with. But with access to the Sharingan, it might be possible, but it didn't matter. A seal was way better than Edo Tensei. The consequences were your own to take on, and didn't rely on harming another person. At least it shouldn't. Still, to be so desperate, as Naruto accepted the cup of tea that Madara gave him. Despite the circumstances, it felt at peace. He and Madara always got along differently. It was probably because Madara knew about Naruto's part in his father's death. And it was also because of Naruto trying to not make him become a greedy bastard like Sasuke had. Seeing that you didn't punch me first, I can assume that you figure out there's more going on than what Mito or Hashirama has told us. Which means you've been here longer than what you want the world to think, said Madara. Yes, I've been here a few weeks already, said Naruto. Didn't know that you were still around until you tried to grab me. Somehow, I feel like things would have been easier there if you had succeeded. At first, I thought Mito was the enemy, but she had access to Naruto for years. Why didn't she just train and manipulate him to her will? Same as you weren't the enemy because you could have gotten a hold of Naruto without the war. So that leads me to assume there's a third party involved. So what's the deal? Why the war? I mean, I'm here not just because I'm angry about Edo Tensei. That just shows how desperate she is. but it's also to make the third party think that it's us against them. A united front to make them reveal themselves. First, let's talk about Mito. Then we'll come back to Misa Madara. When Hashirama came back that day, at first it felt numb, unreal. The great Uzumaki Naruto killing a simple ambush. But then like my father, little things didn't just add up. For example, if you had spontaneously gone on patrol with Hashirama, just all of a sudden, why was there an ambush party there? No one would have known. And you wanted answers, said Naruto. Yes, and Hashirama wasn't being forthcoming. I can't understand why though, there's something you're not telling us. They didn't want to tell us. Maybe they couldn't tell you, said Naruto. Madara finishes team one gulp as he stands and starts to pace around. Well, it's a damn frustrating thing it is. I haven't managed to figure it out, and I'm assuming that she told you nothing. Well no, but I'm assuming that you want the boxes. When the ceiling wonders were being broken, I knew that there were two parties involved. Just too much difference in how they were being broken, subtle and yet rash, at the time frame as well. So quickly, like it was a race or something as well. You all missed the one in Konoha though. The ninth one, said Madara with a snort. Should have known that Ikayu would have ended up in a box as well. Where do you think he went? The moon, said Naruto. With you. One could never be too sure. Why? Do you want the boxes? Naruto asks. Same as her, I guess. Power. If no one has them, they can't be used against me. And she has 4. Naruto really hoped that Madara's intentions were more complex than mere power. Did he plan to use the tail beasts for protection or attacking? Did he simply want to keep them from others so they wouldn't be used against Konoha? But if they just left the damn boxes, then no one would have them. No one would have known about them and they would have faded into history a long time ago. That wasn't about happening anytime soon though, with all this commotion about the boxes. Naruto jumped to his feet as well. Let's go see my darling, older brother. He has an interesting perspective on Mito. He's pissed at you though. I can feel Itachi and Menma arguing. What makes you think he knows anything, said Madara. A camp full of Uchiha, and you're wondering about the only Namikaze in your mates. He's here for a reason, and I want to know what that reason is. Madara shrugged as Naruto led the way. As they near Itachi and Menma tent, the two stopped, the argument cutting off. Just before they enter, Madara grabbed his sleeve. You going to tell him that he was a clone? Nah, he's a bastard. Gun lived in sweat about you for a little longer. But the fact that he's still here, whatever caused to come here in the first place, is a bigger problem than his little brother's death. As Naruto pulled away the entrance to the tent. Uzumaki, I wish to ask you some questions. Naruto's entire demeanor changed to that of the Shode. And he also didn't want Menma seeing much resemblance between him and his younger brother. Appearance were one thing, but mannerisms were something entirely different. Understood, Menma says, standing to attention. How can I assist, Hokage-sama? And he's Namikaze, not Uzumaki. As Naruto did on purpose, the boy chuckles more Uzumaki-like than what he act like. Must have been exhausted. Tell me what you know of Uzumaki Mito and your mother. Menma shifted his shoulders as he looked across to the man. The fact that the man was the first Hokage was a bit unbelievable. But Madara didn't doubt it, so he didn't matter about it. Still, the resemblance to his brother was uncanny. They were like the same person. Was his mother directly related to the first or something? Not as far as he knew though. Uzumaki Mito has always had a hand in my family. More so than someone who is fond of my mother. Kushina Uzumaki, as she liked to proclaim. She's always kept my mother close to her side despite my mother marrying into a different clan. But if I'm not mistaken, thinking back on it, Mito was the one that encouraged union between my parents originally. It was because I thought my father obvious ties to Hokage position and to become the Hokage at that point in time. Mito seemed to know that Minato was next in line for the hat. I thought that she was trying to get more power in the direction. Regardless, it resulted in a young marriage, and I was born quite soon after. But that's not right, is it? Mito hid herself away, and that's hardly like her, said Naruto. As Naruto realized that Mito was trying to make sure that he was born. Still, to view the way that Menma saw it would be interesting. Yes, Mito had stepped down and stepped away from my family, but my mother got more involved with the clan. My father started training for the Hokage position, and as a result they were home less and less. I found out later that it was through Mito's insistence that my brother, Naruto, was born. There was a short period of time where Mito had suggested that my mother stay home with my father, and away from the clan. It was probably one of the happiest times I remember having with my family. Thinking back to his memory from this world, Naruto didn't even notice Mito when he was younger. It seems like she kept out of sight, out of place. He certainly did not know that she was alive until Madara declared his attack. During that time, it was my happiest memories, yes. But they were also some of the more trying, said Menma. You see, my brother was born mute. We don't know why, but Naruto did not talk for almost 5 years. He could barely focus on any one thing for a moment. For a time, we were certain that he would remain that way for the rest of his life. It broke my mother's heart. Yeah, that's my fault, said Naruto. How? Said Minma as he looked towards Naruto. Well, as I hear, my chakra and your brother's chakra are very similar. Almost exactly the same. Almost, but never exact. Since he's your brother, our chakra should be very close as well. As Naruto held his hand as a Rasengan form as he offered to Minma. Minma hesitated for a moment as he watched the ball of chakra suspiciously. As he held out his hand, Naruto dropped his hand. As he coated his hand in chakra so it would not rip through his hand. It shifted colors for a bit and became a lighter shade of blue, but it stayed right in his palm. I couldn't do that with Madara, said Naruto. My father never taught me the jutsu, said Minma. He said I should figure it out myself. I mean, rotation definitely, but on this level. I feel like an idiot for not recognizing it sooner. You know, my sensei who taught me this jutsu just gave me a water balloon and told me to figure it out on my own as well. So yeah, I guess figure it out works. I'm surprised you did not do. I thought you were some kind of genius, said Naruto. Minma tilted his head the Rasengan and whipped it out of existence. Firstly, just because someone's a genius doesn't mean they're good at everything. Secondly, didn't you create the jutsu? As Madara started to chuckle. Got you good, idiot. No, I didn't, Naruto said. It was created by my father. Itachi coughed, reminding them that they should keep things to the matter at hand. So anyways, when I built Konoha, I used my chakra to do it, and it would still be in the walls till today. I imagined something like that would be distracting to the mind of a toddler. As Naruto rubbed the back of his head, trying his best not to look guilty. I mean, what are the chances of having someone with the same chakra as you? Oh, what are the chances indeed, said Madara. Naruto chose to ignore him as he gestured for Minma to continue. So yes, Naruto was placed in the academy, but he didn't seem to have anything luck for it. Mito was the one that suggested she pushed for him to go into the academy. It was strange though. He favored more to the Uzumaki side, so why didn't they give him the Uzumaki training? It was strange. But he still pushed on. He tried to train. I was always busy with my missions. And my parents, it seems that they just forgot about him. Just reluctant to train him. I think they put him into the academy, but they didn't intend for him to become a real shinobi. Well, it wouldn't be good if he died on a mission, now would they, said Madara? After all the trouble they went through to make sure he was born so they could use his chakra. How would they know Itachi interrupted? How would they have the slightest idea that Naruto was born with the same chakra as the first? As Naruto looked to Madara, who shrugged, so Madara did not tell him about the time travel. He didn't tell them anything about that. Good question, said Naruto. How did you learn of all of this? You'd have been very young doing all of this. I suppose I didn't see it as a problem at first. Because I didn't know any better, said Minma. Then when Itachi started to come over more often, and I grew older, things started to make less sense. Between two of us, we asked people who knew my parents before. People like Obito-san, and Kakashi-san, my father's students, and Haruto-san. They thought I just wanted stories about my parents when they were younger. After a while, things started to fall into place. Some things I witnessed myself, something I went digging for. Itachi and I have long debated the final details. So, do you see Mito as an enemy? Madara asks, is she the reason why you're here? No, if anything, she went out of her way to protect my family. To nurture it in a way, a vision that only she and my mother can see. What bothered me though, is that my brother is the center of some conspiracy, some giant, ultra motive or something. But you don't know what that is? No, said Itachi. There are too many puzzle pieces missing, Itachi said. We only know that Madara seemed to have the best interest of the village, including Naruto. Well, had. The best interest for Naruto. Completely uncalled for, Madara muttered under his breath. As Naruto ignored, explaining things now would only complicate things. Thank you, Minma-san, for answering the question, Naruto said, as he got to his feet. We'll be taking our leave now, as Madara walked with Naruto out of the tent. So what do you want to do now, Madara asked. Wait. Either 6 hours run out and Mito come to us, or whatever come first. And you're fine with that, with a war, Madara said. You're the one that started this war, said Naruto. As Madara had gripped his shoulder, I thought you want to follow through. As Naruto slapped Madara's hand away. At any rate, we need to draw out this third party, and this is the only way I can think to do it. You're angry with me, said Madara. Naruto glared towards him. I'm angry at everyone. I'm here when I shouldn't be. You're here. Mito is here. And all everyone cares about is some damn boxes. Even now, you won't open it, said Madara. No, said Naruto. And we don't even need them. We're both more than capable of stopping anyone on the other side of this war. So tell me, why are you so fixated on those boxes? When I left the village, when I knew Hashirama was hiding something, I did not distance myself completely. As he was dying, I was too late to save him, but he managed to tell me this. Protect the boxes. He told me to protect the boxes and protect you. The future you is in danger. Somehow he knew someone to be targeting the boxes, but did he mean Mito or someone else? Damn it. Why didn't you tell me this earlier, said Naruto. As Naruto wondered, was Mito lying when she said she didn't have the 4 other boxes? Why did she want his birth in this world? If she knew that someone was going to be coming after him. Naruto sighed. I miss Tobirama. He was much better at these kind of things. Really? Said Madara. So I'm not good enough? Well, I don't know how long you've been around, but it's certainly longer than me. And you haven't figured our crap out, said Naruto. As they heard a shout from a tent, do you mind? They made their way towards the tent. Akira, are you torturing Obito against Madara? A middle-aged Uchiha looked at Madara as a man, seeming to be Kakashi's age, run behind Madara back. Oh, thank God you came to save me from this evil witch, Madara-sama, said Obito. Oh please, be rational, Obito-san. I was merely testing your intangible endurance. I see that he hasn't improved from the 3 minutes of last time. Akira says she placed her hands on her hip, her long hair swiftly and swirling as she did so. I like being able to see, Akira, Obito said. He has a point, said Madara, overusing the ability with deteriorated his eyesight. Obito would hate to lose that which he's so proud of. Coddling him and his abilities do not improve anything, Akira said. Coddling? You tried to set me on fire, said Obito. Please stop shouting, Obito, said Madara, and I'm sure that she asked first. Well, yeah, she did. But I declined, and she did it anyway, Obito said. His reaction time has improved greatly, but his limit is still 3 minutes, Akira said. What is it exactly he can do, said Naruto? Well, his Mangekyou allows him to be intangible for small periods of time, and to transport to a new place almost instantly, said Madara. As Naruto looked towards Obito, as it hit him like a punch in the gut. It's you. Obito froze, his eyes shifting around. Oh, I mean, said Naruto. It's a pretty good ability. Would you be up for demonstrating just for a moment? Obito gave Naruto a odd look before he moved towards the chair and walked straight through it. As he turned back to face them, as Naruto saw the same Mangekyou Sharingan that Kakashi Sensei had in his first time. This man was connected to the masked man from his past, but there was no point in dwelling on that now. Have you ever tried to transport an object? Naruto asked. This man had that Kakashi ability too. Yeah, but it takes a long time though, and it also affects my vision. If I'm not careful, my eyes will lose all their light. It's what Itachi-san, Shizue-san, and I have to face all the time. So I try not to use it unless I have to, as his Mangekyou deactivated. But Akira just want to do experiments. Shizue-san is fast enough to dodge her, and Itachi-san is smart enough to avoid her. So that just leaves me, he said. Well then, we'll be going to Madara. Obito, go join Shizue in guarding the boxes. As they left, Madara gave Akira a nod as she nodded in turn. As Obito rushed out of the tent, making his way towards the boxes. So, said Naruto, is the whole clan here? Yes, felt it was safer for them. Better than leaving the elderly and the young behind. There's one family that chose not to come though. A Uchiha with a Hyuga wife. They felt conflicted and joined the battle. Their children are in their teens. They chose to remain neutral as well. Huh? A family with both Uchiha and Hyuga. What happened in the dojutsu, Naruto asked. You're joined these 2 months in Madara, but they have both. One eye is as black as mine and the other is as pure white as the moon. Heterochromia. However, the strength in each eye is different. The girl, Kokoro, leans towards the Sharingan. Meanwhile, the boy, Tasho, has more strength in his Byakugan. And you, where do you consider to be, clan or not clan? Asked Naruto, clearly out of interest. They're whatever they want to be. Both clan carry prestige. As long as they behave in that matter, they're what they can be. Enough of that, we got about 4 hours left in Madara. Time skip. Sakura poked her head through the flap as she looked around, as she saw her mentor, carrying Sama. Her eyes flickered towards Sakura as she turned back to her paperwork. The mental tent was not to be visited unless there was an emergency, but here Sakura was. Sakura walked cautiously into the tent as she stopped behind her sensei because Kakashi was in there. As she looked at the white sheet that covered her teammate, as she tried to find anything, a rise of his chest, something to tell her that Naruto was not dead. She only been on his team for a month, but his absence seemed to affect her. When the announcement came that Madara wanted to kill Naruto, she felt it like a stab wound. He wormed his way into her bubble that she never expected for someone she just met. And not to mention Kakashi Sensei, who would love Naruto like a little brother. She could only imagine how this was affecting the man. As Kakashi turned towards her, his eyes red and sparkling. Sensei, She paused. She didn't know what to say. What could she say really? He just snapped Naruto's neck like it was nothing, Kakashi said, his voice sounding hoarse. And what was I doing? Holding people back. I could do nothing. As he took a deep, shaky breath before looking back towards the door. Let's get back to our post, he said. Sakura tried to reach out to him, to stop him, to hug him. anything to try and tell him that he wasn't alone, but Kakashi was too quick to bottle all the pain away. While she was left reeling with the emotions, threatened to pull her under. She wasn't ready for this war. No one was. Time skip. The 5-hour mark was approaching. I sense people coming. As Naruto slurped up some ramen noodles. Thank God for ramen. You know, it's still creepy, said Madara. As he looked at Naruto, Naruto dropped the transformation that he was wearing to look older, as he looked like his 16-year-old self. The orange armor was that hench though. He took it off as he was in black clothing. I prefer the older you, said Madara, as he read through a scroll. Naruto grinned poof, as his hench returned back. The slight change in height, the longer hair, the whisker marks, and the older appearance. Madara glanced at him and hummed in approval. So who's coming? Surprisingly, my father, mother, and Mito. And just behind him, Sarutobi and Jiraiya. Madara snatched Naruto's half-noodle cup away and walked towards the door. Hey! Naruto shouted, as Madara picked out all the best pieces for himself. As Naruto paused to look at his armor, as he wondered if he should leave it behind. He was meeting with his parents. There shouldn't be a need for it just yet. Madara gave a soft order for the members to remain behind. Konoha still had another order. Disappointingly, Mito had not come alone as Naruto hoped. Perhaps this was like an escort group for her. But if Naruto did not put on his armor before joining him, then Madara knew that Naruto did not sense any hostility in their chakra. This meeting might be one last appeal for Madara to call off the war. The group used Shunshin to appear in front of the approaching group. Well, said Madara as he took Naruto's chopstick away and started slurping the noodles. We come to ask where the first stand in this conflict, unless your stance has changed in the last 5 hours, said Minato, his gaze flickering between them. Well, I do have what I asked for, don't I? Said Madara as he glanced towards a pouting Naruto. But see, he won't open the boxes. Something about until he has all 9. Naruto narrowed his eyes towards Madara. He said nothing like that. 9? Kushina asked. She turned towards Mito. We're only aware of 8 sealing wonders. Never mind that. You never said anything about opening the boxes. Only said that you want Uzumaki Naruto, said Minato as his gaze stiffened as he got angry. Are you worried? Said Madara with a chuckle. Don't think you can survive, Madara, said Naruto, as Madara toned it down a bit. Look, I want the boxes, just so I can hide them again. They really aren't something to mess around with. I hid them for a reason, and the fact that 2 people I trusted can be so fixated on ruining everything I work on. Well, let me just leave it there, Naruto said as he looked towards Madara and Mito. Well then, take the boxes, hide them. I don't care, Minato said with coldness coming from him. Hang on, Minato-kun, said Sarutobi as he interrupted. Let us not all forget that we're all Konoha shinobi here. Surely, Naruto-sama, you see the value of letting Konoha utilize the power of the boxes to maintain their status throughout the other villages. As Naruto tilted his head, is Konoha position threatened? Is there a village outside the land of fire that can stand as our equal? Not alone, said Mito, but together perhaps, if they stand as equals. And even then, Madara said, maybe, as he didn't believe that any of the other villages could beat Konoha. Don't be so arrogant to believe that we're untouchable, said Sarutobi. Always remember, even a Genin can kill a Jonin. Madara stepped forward. Come now, Hiro-chan. Surely you don't compare Konoha to a mere Jonin. As Naruto gazed was on Mito and his mother, they were really quiet, Mito mostly. His mother seemed reserved, her earlier pain and anger reserving, but yet she was calm. As he wondered was Mito the one. Would she make the right decision? Yet the entire purpose of this war, the boxes, have not made their appearance yet. As he wondered if Mito was telling the truth, she was so hard to get the active reading on. As Naruto wondered if it was the Edo Tensei, or the years of practice. So you won't give up this war without the boxes, said Minato as he stepped closer. And you won't use them to benefit Konoha. And you won't stand with the village. And you stand with Madara, said Minato as he stepped closer as he looked at Naruto. I want the boxes so much. I'm not willing to back down, said Naruto, even if that means a war. That means, if there is a war, I will not be standing down, and nothing will change my mind, said Naruto, as he looked back at Minato. So be it, said Minato as he lost it. If you will not stand with Konoha, then you're an enemy of Konoha, and you will be treated like one. Mito, said Naruto as he turned towards her, as he needed this war to end. He needed to just know where the boxes were. But most Naruto was getting frustrated. Where was the third person? Why wasn't the third person showing himself? She turned away, Kushina already walking to join Minato. You won't win this war, Naruto said. As her son turned. Are you really so sure of yourself, Hokage-sama? Yes. Yes I am, said Naruto. Naruto, we've given them all the time they need to fix this, said Madara. Naruto shrugged Madara's hands off. There's no point to throw attention because things aren't going your way. Grow up, said Madara. I'm going to stay here for the remaining hour. Collect Senjutsu or something. As Naruto kneeled down and touched her hand to the ground. as a pillar of earth came from the ground as he hopped on it, as he meditated. Madara watched him for a few minutes before turning and headed back to the Uchiha compound. Moments later, as Mito stepped towards Haruto, "You are to deliver this scroll to the Shode." As she stepped in close, "Do not let anyone stop you or take the scroll from you. It is at the utmost importance," she whispered. Haruto nodded, as he knew she meant that someone would be trying to stop him. But Uzumaki Haruto was not a shinobi to take lightly, as Mito moved back to her place, silently. But she knew that none of these people here can defeat Naruto and Madara, as she had saw the both of them in action already. And yet, something. Their victory wasn't as sure as they believed it was, because everything was going to go to hell very soon. But guys, if you any subs right here, for once the next part of this are know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.